name is Ashley Scher, and I'm the founder and CEO of ShareLove.Fund. We are in our RPYT course, Registered Prenatal Yoga Teacher Training course, and we are in our class management section. In class management, we will talk about the third part, which is the pace of the class. So, all of you have been through our RPYT 200 Registered Teacher Training, where in general we learn about the fundamentals of class pace. So how does class pace change when someone's pregnant? Well, fundamentals are fundamentals, and that's what makes a great teacher, because whether a client is prenatal or has scoliosis or some other non-standard deviation, then we just draw on our fundamentals and we modify. So in the case of prenatal, one obvious thing we can think about is as the pregnancy matures and towards the third trimester, people don't move as quickly. So for the pace of the class, we can slow it down. Another thing with class pace is going up and down and up and down. Now we'll talk about this more in cueing, but I also like to think of the pace of the class as a flow. And as our prenatal clients get larger, I try to make the flow down and up and down like a bell curve or a big tummy, and provide that fluidity. Another really important part of pace of class for prenatal clients, which isn't always so obvious, is part of the tone in the pace of the class. Anxiety is a big part of pregnancy for a lot of women. Sometimes a common thing children may say to a pregnant woman is, "How are you going to get that baby out of there?" And for first-time pregnant women, they're pretty scared about that too, some of them. So the pace of the class can have a calming effect. So just as we talked about the physical flow of the down and the up, we can also talk about the tone of voice. And we'll talk about this more in cueing, but using the vocal pace of the class to kind of, be a gradual arch. We can lead to more intensity, but then also, be an arch. So, think about the pace of your voice. If you sound nervous, if you feel anxious as the instructor, we sort of, all our interactions are an energy exchange, to some extent. You can, adopt this as much or as little as you believe, but to some extent we're exchanging energy, and to really feel some compassion when you're setting the pace that your client may feel anxious, and try to create a pace that is very calming and can help them get through that anxiety. Another thing, and all of these teaching methodology points sort of cross over, but in pace, is some teachers like to use music to pace their class. And this is something we can also think about when we think about environment, which we touched on earlier. Sometimes prenatal clients are very emotional and sensitive, and music sets a mood tone. So that can be an advantage or a disadvantage, and that's something to be sensitive about. And you can play around with that and make adjustments. The other thing that is important about pace is to have options with any yoga class, whether it's prenatal or not. If you notice a student is struggling, then you can remind them that child pose is an option, or you can decide to slow down the pace or speed it up. I personally don't teach with music because I like to be able to adjust the pace to meet the client's needs. Sometimes that can be a little harder with music. However, as a musician, it's actually all possible. Instead of moving on the second beat, you can move on the fourth and so forth. And so even within a soundtrack, you can adjust the pace. For pace, how do you slow down a class without making it boring? Well, one option is holding poses. You can do holding poses for your more advanced prenatal clients. So the advantage of holding poses, and by holding poses, I just mean holding poses for a little bit longer. So maybe in a regular class, you go to chair, and then Tadasana, and then forward fold. But maybe in this class, you want to slow it down, so you just go in chair for a while. So an advantage of that for prenatal is that it slows it down. Also, there's less kind of wiggling and jiggling, and you're also building strength. And these new mamas, they're gonna need some strength. For a beginner though, having already the extra weight of the baby, holding chair might be too much. So it's really nice to offer modifications. Maybe your pace is to slow down and do holding poses for a while, but then you're also offering the modification of saying, hey, you can go down on your knees and hold this if that's easier. Or even, you can't see on the video, but rest on the tush. So for pace, the idea is just to be aware, look around to your clients. If you're teaching on Zoom and it's just not possible, there's just too many people, or you're teaching by live streaming and you don't have interaction with the people you're teaching, then in the beginning of the class, you can offer some suggestions for how the pace might be adjusted to serve them. For early in prenatal, a faster pace like cardio yoga may be appropriate. However, morning sickness can be an issue for first trimester people. So I would say my opinion, but we advocate critical thinking, so I encourage you to develop your own opinions. But my opinion is that the pace is always a little bit slower in prenatal, and it's really about building that connection within and calming anxiety and feeling centered here and beyond, and feeling empowered with that. Thank you for your time. Namaste.